All right, welcome, friends. Um, I want us to start out in a cross-legged position, which everyone pretty much is. So get yourself nice and comfy on your sit bones and pull the flesh away or walk them back. And then just get nice and tall through your spine. You can press your hands down into your legs and lift up through your spine. Give your shoulder heads a nice roll out down away from your ears on your back. And then we're going to make a little thing of that. So on inhale, I want you to press down to your legs, lift up through your spine, lift the shoulder heads up. And as you exhale, just round out the shoulder heads and release. Let's do that a couple more times. And then on this last one, as you exhale and release your shoulder heads down away from the ears and the back, close your eyes, just relax the weight of the arms. Awesome. And just take that big exhale all the way down to empty. And just start to slowly bring air in for 3, 2, 1, and pause. Breathe in for another 3, 2, 1, and pause. And then one last inhale for 3, 2, 1. Top it up and relax. And then exhale, release it all out. Let it go. Now draw that inhale to your low belly and your low back for 1, 2, 3, and hold. Breathe into your mid-abdomen and your mid-back for 1, 2, 3, and hold. Breathe all the way into the chest, all the way into the shoulders. Take that full breath, relax around it. And then exhale nice and slow and controlled from the top all the way down to empty. Then you're ready just to move into your Ujjayi breathing from here. So slow inhales through the nose like you're sipping the air in through a straw. And then big long exhales out your nose as if you're fogging up a mirror. Letting those muscles in the back of the throat allow you to slowly draw in and allow you to slowly release back out. So we just get to make this art out of our inhales, this art out of our exhales, this experience out of just our own breathing. And we get the mental benefit of letting ourselves chill out on fixing, solving, changing life for a little bit and just being more present with what's here and now. And then we get the physical benefit that we're just reminding our body about the deep breath. As we get into the practice, we'll be getting into more flexibility, we'll be getting into strength, we'll be getting into balance, and the breath comes into play in all of those categories. So allow your breath to be your guide for your practice, and then simply take what works from me and leave the rest behind. Bring your eyes open up front. Inhale to extend and reach your arms tall in space. And on your exhale, you're just going to twist to the right, bringing your right hand behind you and the left hand to the outside of your right knee. Inhale to lengthen up tall through your spine. Breathe in. And on the exhale, twist from center and just take the gaze back across that right shoulder. Hold your body in this twist and just let some rounds of breath move through your body. Take one last big inhale, fill all the way up. Use that exhale to twist nice and deep down to empty. And then once you're at the end of your breath, inhale to reach your arms up tall, your gaze is forward. And on your exhale, just press your left hand into the floor at your side or your left forearm. Lean into it and then reach and extend that right arm up tall to the top corner of that left wall. Your gaze could turn down, your arm could twist slightly down, your gaze could turn up, you could open your arm back up in space, or you could just keep that kind of neutral gaze forward to the front of the room. On an inhale, stretch and reach your arms up tall in space, breathe in. And as you exhale, just bring the left hand to the top right side of your head and just relax your right arm down at your side. We'll start to let that left hand draw the left ear to the left shoulder, lengthening out the right side of the neck. And then if you'd like to get into the front edge of the right side of your neck, walk your fingertips forward, lift your chin up. Or if you'd like to get more into the back edge of the neck, you could walk the fingertips closer back to the base of the skull and let the chin tilt down. And use that breath to help to work through any tension that we encounter. And then if you want to press your head back up, your peace sign fingers in your left hand can just press to your left temple. Otherwise, you can just lift your head right up. Make any little adjustments you need. And then we're going to take those 3 moves on the other side. So an inhale just extends the arms up tall in space. And we'll start with our twist to the left, taking that left hand behind you and the right hand to the outside of the left knee. Inhale, lengthen up tall, breathe in. And on that exhale, twist from center and just take the gaze back across the shoulder. Your inhales will work slightly against the twist as you fill up with the air. And when your exhales come, you can get yourself to release a little bit deeper into it. Take that last big deep inhale, fill all the way up. Use that exhale to get nice and deep into the twist. And then at the end of the breath, you can inhale to reach your arms up tall, face forward. And as you exhale, we'll just bring the right hand or forearm down to the ground at the side. And then reach and extend your left arm out tall to the top corner of that right wall. And again, feel free to play with different angles, right? Like letting your head come down and your arm dip a little closer to the floor, dropping the chest a little bit. Or you could do that where your gaze is coming up and you're letting the chest open slightly as the arm pulls back. On an inhale, stretch and reach your arms up tall in space, breathe in. And as you exhale, the right hand will grab onto the top left side of your head. Just relax your left arm anywhere at your side. And then let the right hand gently draw the right ear towards the right shoulder. Fingers could walk slightly to the forehead, getting the chin up in space, getting to the front left edge, or fingers could walk back, letting the chin come down, finding the back left edge. And again, you can press your head up to center with the peace sign fingers to the right side of the head, or just lift your head up. Make any little adjustments through it. Awesome. And then come forward into your tabletop. For just a little bit of movement through your legs, from that tabletop, we can just take the right leg back in space and just press into the ball of the foot with your left knee underneath your hip. You could just rock a little bit forwards and backwards on the ball of that foot, just stretching out through the back of the right leg. And then we'll give that little length into the back of the left leg. So switch it out. Bring your right knee underneath your hip. Extend your left leg in space. Press into the ball of the left foot. And just take a few rounds of breath here, stretching back out through that left leg. As you're feeling balanced out, come into your neutral tabletop and start to work your cat and cow. Cow, that dropping through the belly, tilting the tailbone up, lifting through the chest. And your cats, where you're letting the mid-back pull up high as you let the weight of the head relax and the tailbone drop. Adding any back and forth or side to side movement. Okay, find a neutral, flat back, hands and knees. And then we're going to keep the right palm right where it is underneath your shoulder, but turn the inside of your left wrist forward so your palm is down, and then your left thumb is pointing out towards the left side of the room. And you can do side-to-side massage, back and forth. You could also peel your hand off the mat back to your fingertips and then roll it back forward. You are warming up and stretching through the palm, through the fingers, through the wrist, right into your forearm. You can take the back of that left hand into the mat where your fingers point backwards in space. And then same thing, just give a little bit of massage into the back of the hand. And then taking your knees out just a little bit wider than your hips, press into your right hand and twist your left arm to the sky and give a roll out through your left wrist. For thread the needle, you just need to inhale to reach up, and on the exhale, dive your left arm underneath the right and lower the side of the head and the shoulder down into the mat. Right hand or forearm is resting or pressing at your side, getting you back in towards your shoulder, or tuck the back of the hand behind you to the outside of that left hip. Feel those hips right above your knees in space, so the weight of the torso is coming down into the outside of the head, coming down into the outside of the arm. Stay with that breathing. And then rise back out of it. So press your right hand to the ground. Inhale to reach your left arm up tall in space. Breathe in. And as you exhale, return back into your tabletop. Get the left hand underneath your shoulder, the hips underneath the knees, and then just take that inside of the right wrist forward in space. Palm is down. Your thumb points over to the right side of the room on that right hand. And then start to work into stretching out, warming up your right palm, your right fingers, wrist, forearm. Let the back of that hand press down to the ground if you'd like. Fingers pointing back in space. Still with that slow, controlled breath. And then the knees out slightly wider than the hips, left hand underneath your shoulder. Inhale to reach and extend that right arm up tall in space, and give the wrist a roll out as you have the hand and arm lifted. For thread the needle, you'll breathe in, and on the exhale, just dive the right arm underneath the left, and then lower the shoulder and the side of the head down into the ground. Again, left hand or forearm can be at the side, pressing away from your body or resting to the ground, or just taking that hand back behind you, the back of it, and tucking it to the outside of that right hip. And find your breath here. Let those inhales come in and fill up into the pose, expand into the pose. And on the exhale, as you let go and you contract into it, feel the way that it massages your body inside of this particular posture. Let that left hand press to the ground. Inhale to reach your right arm up tall in space. Breathe in. And on your exhale, come down into your tabletop position. Work into your plank. It might feel nice to do some slow motion shifting forward and backwards on the balls of the feet and the toes as you really feel into those biceps toning into center line. Those elbows micro bent. Chest muscles nice and strong, core and back muscles engaged. And then pause, hold on to it. And by the way, you can do these push-ups we're about to do on your knees with your ankles crossed. But you start to do slow exhales that bring you halfway down to Chaturanga Dandasana. And then inhales back up the top of that plank. So just slow motion push-ups. Leading forward with that sternum, lifting up. Seeking to avoid bending at the hips. Slowly lower the body all the way to the ground. Make sure the hips can comfortably press to the floor. And then our low cobra, Bhujangasana, the tops of the feet are to the ground. Your palms slide a little down to frame those low ribs. And then squeeze those elbows in towards one another, bringing your shoulders in. And start to lift the chest up off the ground. Connecting to the hips, connecting to the tops of the feet, and create that length through the back of the neck. And just a reminder on all of our cobras, right? It's not about us pressing to the ground like an up dog. It's about us lifting through those core and back muscles. That's why I always love just this transition. here to locust pose because you feel it. You've already got the shape in your spine, and you fly your arms back in space, and then you lift your thighs up off the ground. Stay with that breathing. Excellent, excellent. Lower back down. To get to your down dog, you can move through your tabletop or just press up to a plank. And then reach the hips back up tall in space. And just walk slowly out through your down dog, letting one heel pull to the ground as you let opposite knee bend. While you're pulling that heel to the ground, you're also reaching that hip up away from opposite hand. So we are constantly still staying focused on that length in the spine back up from the hands. We did an excellent job at warming up the palm. So use the circle of the palm, press it down into the mat, spread into your fingers. As you're lengthening your arms out and you're using that upper body strength to press into the mat, make sure the elbows aren't locked. They're just that little micro bend. And then those biceps are toned into center line. Those core muscles are drawing those hips back up tall as you're pressing into the ground. And then from that peak of your hips back up in space, you're starting to explore the length through the back of your legs, letting those heels pull closer down towards the ground. On an inhale, reach your right leg back up in space, find a three-legged downward facing dog, and press your heel back up to the wall behind you. Let the front of your right hip bone point down and back in space. Breathe in here, and as you exhale, we'll take the right knee to the left elbow or tricep and hold the shoulders up above our hands, pausing and breathing. On an inhale, re-extend back up to a three-legged down dog. And as you exhale, now bring the right knee to the right elbow or tricep. Close in as it comes, shoulders right above the hands. So hold up and in with those core muscles as you press to the ground. Nice. Eileen, inhale to reach back up, breathe in. And on the exhale, bring the knee to the forehead to the knee. Let the back heel lift high off the ground. You're in the ball of that foot. Curl your way in here. And then we're going to step the right foot up all the way between the hands and set up our warrior two pose. And if you didn't get it all the way on that one lift, just walk it up. Knife edge of your left foot to the ground. Really long stance from the front of the mat to the back so you can drop your center of gravity down into this, just like you were on a surfboard. Reach that left arm back in space as your right arm comes forward, and then roll those shoulder heads out away from the ears, opening through the chest. And so we're feeling, right, the press down in. We're feeling that tone back in towards center line, so legs are nice and engaged here. And then we're watching that we're not leaning too far forward. We're keeping that chest up nice and tall in space. We want to feel a big stretch through our hips here and through our legs. And then on an exhale, just hinge forward and find your extended side angle pose. So bring your right forearm to your right thigh, or you could reach the right arm down the inside of that right leg so your fingers are hovering off the ground, elbows in towards the knee, back the hand in towards the ankle. And then that left arm can be nice and tall in space, reaching straight up to the sky, or it could be on an angle coming out from that back left leg. Nice cat. Stay with that breathing. And then on an inhale, you'll open to a star facing over towards the left side of the mat. So all 10 toes open up to the side of the room. Arms open up wide. Take a deep breath into it, and then on your exhale, come into a wide-legged squat. Your heels are underneath your knees, your feet are out at 45 degrees, and your hands are to your thighs. Shift your hips a little side to side. It can help you kind of dial in the width of your stance. And then on an inhale, just press to your thighs, reach your spine up. And as you exhale, we'll twist to the front of the room. So press into the back left thigh, and then twist that chest forward. Watch that we're not collapsing in our legs. We're holding that squat nice and strong. It's our frame that we're twisting towards the front of the room with. Next, inhale, reach your spine up tall. Breathe in as you press to thighs. And on your exhale, twist to the back of the room, so press off of the front right thigh. Okay, step back out into your star. Inhale to reach up nice and tall. Breathe in, and as you exhale, hinge out from your hips and swan dive halfway. So see if you can hold a half lift. Your hands could certainly press into your thighs for support, or they could go to your hips, or you could fly your arms out like airplane wings. Your legs, they're not totally locked out in the knees, right? There's a little bit of softness so you can get that length, especially out of your low back. But then you're strong in your core for your low spine, and then you're strong in those shoulder blades for that upper spine. On your next exhale, just fold all the way forward. Let it go. And just let the weight of the head relax. Give it a nice nod, yes. Or side to side nod, no. And press into the legs so you feel the hips lifting up. And then you get that spine flowing down from those hips, lifting back and up in space. And then we're going to walk this up to a low lunge position. So both hands will end up framing your right foot, ball of the left foot to the ground behind you. Okay, bring your gaze up. We're going to make a move into chair pose from here. So it's standing up on your right leg, bringing your arms and your left knee, your left leg with you, planting the feet. We can keep everything at hip bone distance, or your ankle bone, your big toes, your knees, and your thighs can all press in at center line. Reach back through those hips. It's kind of like a skier, like tucking down the mountain. But then in yoga, we get that lift up through the chest. Shoulder blades get a tone in behind us. And staying with that breathing. Awesome. Couple more rounds. You're doing great. Okay, left leg is your base. Inhale your arms and your right knee up into one-legged mountain. So we're trying to bring that right thigh parallel with the ground. That right knee just gets to bend at 90. And that big press into your left foot. That spread into your left foot. Big left toe can grip to the ground as those fingers extend up in space. Start to cross your right ankle over the top of your left knee or thigh. And then come back into a figure four, a one-legged chair. Hands can go to your heart center, or one hand to knee and one hand to the foot. So like reclined pigeon on your back, we want some dorsal flexion in that right foot. Your toes are flexing back to your shin as your knee flexes forward. We want to avoid the ankle bending or collapsing, so keeping a nice strong ankle here and gently letting that right knee open down and out. The focus of the gaze just on one spot in front of you is awesome. That's a great way to help your balance. And then rise back up into your one-legged mountain. Bring the arms and the right knee and start to extend that right leg forward as you lift up through the thigh. Press forward through the ball of the right foot. So you're pressing more off of the ball of the left foot. On an exhale, you can just bring the foot to the ground, dial the hands into your chest. And then we'll just set ourselves up at the top of our mat. Inhaling to stretch and reach your arms up when you're ready into our mountain. And on that exhale, hinging out from the hips and controlling your swan dive to your forward fold. Inhale halfway up, lengthen your spine, strengthen around it. And then plant the hands, come back into a plank position. Excellent, friends. So you could go right to down dog, or you can exhale halfway down. You could do low cobra all the way to the ground, or from the halfway point, inhale up dog. You're on the tops of your feet. You're in this beautiful back bend, lifting up through the chest. Hips are off the ground, and you can tuck through your toes and lift back up into your down dog. Awesome. Relax through the weight of your head. Feel that press into your hands. Feel that big lift up through your hips. On an inhale, left leg comes back up nice and tall, three-legged down dog. Press up through your heel, front of your hip bones pointing down and back. On an exhale, let the knee come over to your right elbow or tricep. Hold here, hold up in, push away from the ground. Inhale, reach back up. And on the exhale, bring your knee to your left elbow or tricep, shoulders above your hands, lifting up away from the ground, pressing into it. Awesome, Melanie. Inhale, reach back up. And then the knee to your forehead and the forehead to your knee, curling through the spine here. That same lift away from the ground as you press to it. Last move is stepping, walking, placing the left foot up to your low lunge position. Once you have that long stance, let the knife edge of your right foot come down to the ground. And for your warrior two, you're going to get that right arm back in space and your left arm forward. Gaze out across those left fingertips. As we point that left knee forward, we line the left knee right up over the left heel. We've got that left sit bone tucked underneath our body. And then there's a lot of that strength coming off down through your back right leg. So both of those legs nice and engaged here. On your next exhale, hinge forward and take your version of extended side angle pose. As you hinge forward, avoid that back right hip popping up in space. So keep that back right hip down and let it be more of that spine that's hinging forward from that shape in our legs. Excellent breathing. Couple more rounds of breath. Nice dab. So inhale to your star. All 10 toes face to the right, arms open up. And then you can bring yourself into that wide-legged squat position. We're going to set up the wide-legged squat for our hold. So your spine is straight up in space. Your sit bones are dropping down and back. And then we've got the thighs rotating up and back versus the knees collapsing into center. Your hands can stay right on your thighs, or you could do hands to your heart center, or you can extend your arms out long to the front of the room in the back, and then tone those shoulder blades back in with your elbows slightly bent. Next layer up would be bringing your feet in a little closer and coming onto the balls of your feet, lifting the heels up off the ground. And again, avoid that collapse of the knees in. Nice breathing. You got it. We're almost there. Okay, step the legs out wide, back to your star. Take a deep breath in. On your exhale, you can swan dive all the way down into your forward fold. Inhale to a half lift, lengthening through your spine. And then refold on your exhale. So you can take another forward fold here. You could also move this into a crow pose. So from that wide-legged position, you'd step your feet in a little bit closer so you're in a squat facing to the right side of the room. Your palms are down to the mat at shoulder's distance. And then we're going to create a platform in crow with our triceps, and we're going to place the shin onto the triceps. So to drop the triceps, you're just bending the elbows and lowering it, and then to lift the shins, you're getting the hips up, you're on the balls of your feet, lifting the heels up. And before you're even balancing, you want to feel the shins, top of the shins, pressing into the triceps. So when you rock forward, you're holding the feet up and in, holding the core nice and strong. And it's not about your legs squeezing into the outside of your arms. It's literally about resting the shin bone, getting the shin bone on top of the triceps. And don't be afraid if you fall forward. You will not be the first yogi that has done so. If you're afraid of the fall forward and you have a block, one great thing, you have to take it out far away from your body. You can't have it in close. But you can have it on level 2 far away from the body so that when you lean forward, you could try to tap your forehead down into the block. But again, if it's in too close, it kind of is counterproductive. Awesome. Okay, if you are in that crow, bring your feet back to the ground. We're going to rejoin a wide-legged forward fold facing over to the right side of the room. Relax the weight of the head, and then walk this up into our low lunge position facing forward. Bring the gaze up. It's going to be a big step up with that right leg all the way to chair. So you're really doing this big lift just on your left leg and then planting that right foot down. Awesome. Maybe try bending your elbows out, opening your arms a little wider, and really feeling that opening through your chest in chair and those shoulder blades. Just engage. They don't have to be like squeezed towards one another, but just slightly engaged back in space. Just some support for that upper spine. Feel that press into your feet, that strength all the way up through your legs, all the way into your glutes, pulling back up away from your knees. Nice, Seychelle. Okay, right foot is your base. Inhale the arms and the left knee lift up to our one-legged mountain. So again, we're trying to lift that left thigh parallel to the ground. It's bent at 90, arms extended up. Perfect. So for our figure 4, the left ankle over your right thigh. Start to drop your sit bones back in space. You can bring your hands to your heart center, or one hand to knee, one hand to the heel. And really, it's the indentation on the outside of that ankle that's going right over the ridge of your thigh close up to your knee. We've got that dorsal flexion in the left foot, so your heel is pointing to the right, your toes are flexing back and in. And then just like chair, there's that sitting back in space. Last piece of our one-legged balance is going to be reaching the arms back up to the sky, lengthening the right leg, and now lengthening the left leg. It's not super important that it goes totally straight. It's just that press forward as you lift up through your thigh. Okay, breathe in, and on the exhale, lower the foot to the ground. Take a second, and then we're going to meet up just with both feet planted. Big toes together with space between your heels or feet at hip bone distance. Inhale to reach your arms up tall in space. Breathe in. And as you exhale, hinge out from the hips and take that swan dive down into your forward fold. Inhale halfway up, lengthen through your spine. And then plant the hands, step to your plank. You can take this to down dog. You can go halfway down and then inhale up dog. You could go all the way down and take low cobra. And then we'll meet up in our downward facing dog. From down dog, let the knees come down to the mat. Drop one of your hips to the ground. Bring your legs forward. And then roll all the way onto your back, bringing your knees into your chest, and just wrapping your arms around your knees, around your shins, and give yourself a little rock out. Just relax the weight of the head. Take your legs straight up in space. Grab your hamstrings, and then you're going to gaze up towards your thighs so your head and shoulders are all the way up off the ground. Okay, and then we're going to take this into our core muscles. So rather than pulling your way up with your arms, you're going to pull your way up with your core muscles. Start to reach forward through your left arm and then through your right arm so you're twisting through your sides. Stay with that breathing. Reach your arms straight up in space. You can take a hand behind the base of the skull if your neck feels like it needs support. Feel those band of core muscles nice and strong. And then hands behind the base of the skull. You're going to lower your legs to a diagonal. And then we're going to do scissor kicks with twists through our elbows. So what I mean is as one leg goes up, you're going to twist opposite elbow into that knee, and then you switch your legs out, opposite elbow twists into that knee. Use your breathing. Hold the legs on the diagonal. Low back pressed to the ground, hands behind the base of the skull. You're doing great. Okay, grab your hamstrings. Lift yourself up to your sit bones. And then we're going to find our balance in boat, our seated balance. Cross your ankles. Lift up tall through your spine. We're going to keep this posture as we now start to row to the right and then to the left. So twisting through your spine in boat. And hold your boat pose, uncross the ankles. Keep that shape in your spine, so that strength through your core and through your upper body, through your shoulders. Beautiful, friends. Cross your ankles. Come forward into tabletop. And then drop your elbows down to the ground so they're on so that your forearms are extended, your palms are to the ground, and then your arms make the shape number 11, everything at shoulders distance. We're going into our dolphin from here, so tuck your toes, lift your hips up, and then walk your toes to your elbows. Your hips lift back up in space, and there's a lot of shoulder strength lifting your sternum back up towards your thighs, a lot of core strength as well. On an inhale, take that right leg back up tall, find a three-legged dolphin, press back up through your heel, front of your right hip bone points down and back. You could practice baby hops on that left foot. Landing with a soft, bent ankle, bent knee. Right foot to the ground, inhale your left leg backing up. Front of your hip bone pointing down and back, press through your heel. You could take baby hops on that right leg, landing with a soft, bent knee and bent ankle. Left leg comes down, walk back to your forearm plank position. One at a time, press your hands to the top of your plank and slowly lower all the way down to the belly. Slide the forearms back in front of you, but now it's a little more casual for our Sphinx pose. Lifting up through the chest. You can just, keep your gaze forward with a little length to the back of your neck. If you'd like, just twist your gaze over your right shoulder. Big breathing. Take that gaze over your left shoulder if you were twisting over your right. And then as you bring the head forward, you can keep lifting up through your shoulders as you let the head gently fall forward. Chin can take little turns to the left and to the right. Awesome, friends. From that big stretch for your abs and your low back in your Sphinx pose, just left side of your mat. We're setting up shoulder pigeon for the right arm. Let your chest come all the way down. Reach your right arm to the right wall, palm face down, and then the left hand presses into the floor at your side, and you roll onto your right side body. You can plant that left foot to the ground behind your right leg or stack the left leg over the right. Weight of the head stays relaxed. Left hand or forearm, it can press at your side, helping you open that left shoulder over the right. Or you can bring the left hand back behind you in space, behind your low back. Find that breath. If you'd like to make a quadricep stretch here, bend that left knee, bring the heel to the sit bone, and then you can let the left knee point a little further back, a little further forward, down or up. Finding the different angles in your knee, in your quadricep, in that left side body. A final variation with that left leg would be to extend the leg straight up to the sky. And you could do your peace sign fingers to the big toe, or you could grab anywhere on the inside of that calf or anywhere on the inside of that hamstring and help to gently pull that leg as you reach up in space. And then we'll just come back down onto our stomachs. Center yourself on your mat. And then as you've got the right arm extending forward, bend your right knee, heel to the sit bone, and left hand will grab the top of the right foot by way of the inside arch. Okay, and then like locust pose, start to lift off the ground. Lift your thighs off the ground. Lift the chest off the ground like our low cobra and fly that right arm forward. And find that balance of kicking and pulling between your arm and leg that pulls the arm taut back behind you. That length through the back of the neck. And then that lowering to the ground. Slide your body now over to the right side of your mat, chin down. Reach your left arm to the left side of the room, palm face down, and then press into your right hand and roll onto your left side body. You can plant the right foot to the ground behind your left leg or stack the right leg over the left. Awesome. And then your right arm can be into the ground at your side, or you can tuck that arm back behind you in space. Weight of the head just relaxed. If you want that quadricep stretch, friends, we're just going to bend that back right knee, bring the heel in towards the sit bone, and then reach the right hand back for the top of the foot and gently kick the foot into the hand. And again, you can point your knee more down, more up, more back. Bring it forward. Little adjustments that change up the angle for you. Final variation is lengthening that left leg straight up in space. And again, you could do peace sign finger to the big toe as you extend up, or you could just slide your hand to the inside of the calf or thigh, and then gently help to pull against the leg as you reach back up through it. Lower back down when you're ready. Roll onto your belly. We'll center ourselves on the mat. And then the left arm you were just rolling on, reach it forward in space. Bend your left knee, bring the heel into the sit bone, and reach your right hand back for the top of the foot by way of that inside arch. Gently rise up off the ground like locust, but with that bind in place and that left arm flying forward. That balance of kick and pull between that back left leg and your right arm. And we're going to lay out at the beach. Just relax your arms and your head as it feels good to you. You can lay those legs flat down to the ground or pick your feet up in space and just start to slowly circle out your ankles. Big windshield wiper circles going clockwise or counterclockwise. If your feet are picked up, you can take your knees out a little bit wider and interlace the tops of the feet and the ankles together, and then let the weight of the feet just fall back in space. Beautiful breathing. You can press back up to our tabletop, drop one of the hips to the ground, and bring your legs forward in space. Keep your right leg extended forward, and just like tree pose, bring the left foot to the inside of your right thigh. We can either take the peace sign fingers of the right hand around the big right toe, or you can grab onto your right shin. But you'll reach your left arm back and up in space, so your wingspan is essentially opened on a diagonal from your from your front arm through the back. And then on an exhale, dive through your right side body, and while you stay twisted open towards the left side of the room, extend that left arm forward. It's not about how far you can pull your arm out of your shoulder socket. You want to feel it plugged into the shoulder socket as you extend forward. It's a stretch through your side body. The right elbow can bend, and it could hover in space, or you might end up giving it a press down from the right elbow into the right shin that also brings your spine forward. Another thing to think about, that back left leg, even though it seems like it's inactive, you can have a little bit of a press down and back through it that, again, sends the spine forward in space. Nice, just a few more rounds of breath. Inhale, reach your arms tall in space. Spine's upright. Exhale, hands down into your heart center. Square your hips to the front of the room so the right hip pulls back a little bit as the left hip comes forward. We want to remain on the front edge of the sit bones as we take the right hand just backing out from the right hip. Press into it. Inhale the left arm up. And on the exhale, hinge forward and grab the outside of the foot or the ankle or anywhere along that calf. This one-legged forward fold. You can always add a little more bend into your right knee if you need it, or you can always subtract bend in that right knee as you need it. The right hand behind you, it's great just to give that little press back into it, helping to send your spine forward. And then again, that back left leg can give a little press down and back as well. Nice deep inhales, nice long exhales. Inhale, reach back up tall, breathe in, arms extend to the sky. Exhale, hands to your heart center. Awesome. So I'm going to set up double pigeon for your right hip. You could also take half pigeon, that 7 shape with your legs, or recline your back. For our double pigeon, the right leg swings to the side, and then I'm centering the left shin to the sides of my mat between the knee and the foot, and then I'm bringing that left shin parallel to the top of the mat. The right leg then comes out from the diagonal, and I'm going to start with just a cradle of that leg into my body, warming the hip up. Notice how your foot can kind of collapse and twist. Your ankle can kind of collapse. In a second, we're gonna want to really focus on keeping a strong ankle, so that dorsal flexion in your foot. We slide the indentation on the outside of the ankle right above the inside ridge of the knee and thigh. Then stack the fire log so you can readjust your sit bones so that the shins are parallel. Really dorsal flexion through both of our feet. If you've got a blanket or a block or a sweatshirt, you could put it down in between that right knee and that left foot, or just leave it open. And then you can stay upright with that strong ankle, or you can start to take that length in your spine and walk it forward, bring the hands out and bow your spine. That right tricep could end up just giving a little press down on top of that right knee that can feel really good. And whether you've ended up on your back or in that half pigeon, or whether you're with me on this double pigeon, this fire log pose, we're still right there with our breathing, focused on the inhales, focused on the exhales. The meat up is on the sit bones, taking those legs out in front of you and just giving a nice roll out through your ankles and a pump through your knees. Keep your left leg extended, and like tree pose, right foot will come to the inside of the left thigh. Find the front edge of your sit bones, and then hook the peace sign finger of the left hand up to the big toe, or grab onto the shin. Right arm reaches up tall in space, and your spine is as lengthened as it will get with that connection to your shin or foot. And then on an exhale, just dive through your left side body. And then as you reach your right arm forward, it's that twist through your spine, stacking that right shoulder over the left shoulder. And again, you can explore that bend in your left elbow. That press of the elbow down into the shin, or on the edge of it, or the outside of it. Awesome. Inhale to reach back up tall. On the exhale, bring your hands down into your chest. And then square the hips up towards the front of the room. Left hip back, right hip forward. Once you're on the front edge of your sit bones, just bring the left hand out and back from that left hip. Inhale the right arm up tall. And on the exhale, hinge forward and grab the outside of the foot or the shin. Again, you could add bend into that left knee or subtract as needed. Use that breath to find that incremental stretch in your spine and in the back of that left leg. Inhale, reach up tall. On the exhale, again, just bring the hands down to your heart center. And then you're on your back in reclined pigeon for your left hip, or you're taking that left shin forward for your half pigeon. For our double pigeon fire log, swing that left leg wide, center the right shin to the sides of your mat, and then make it parallel to the top of the mat, and start to cradle that left leg in towards your body. We can take that left ankle bone and just bring it, the outside of that left, the indentation on the outside of the ankle, just right above the inside ridge of that knee or thigh, and then just stack the fire logs. Find the flexion through your feet. And again, you could take a sweatshirt, a block, or a blanket and just bring it in between that left knee and that foot if there's space, and that can be nice to have something to press into. Or just keep that lifted. And then your spine is upright in space, or as we walk forward, we can take that bow through the spine. Find your breathing. Lift up nice and tall through the chest. Lengthen those legs out in front of you. If you're on your back, you can just lengthen your legs out. From the sit bones, we'll slide the hips up and rock the weight down onto our back. Just bring your knees in, giving a nice little rock out. And then before we take our final resting pose, our Shavasana, let's just do a couple spinal twists here. So stack the knees over to the right, reach the left arm to the left, and take your gaze out across your left fingertips. And then bring your knees up, give a little rock side to side on your back, and switch things out. Stack your knees now over to the left, onto the outside edge of your left hip. Reach and extend your right arm out to the right and take your gaze out across those right fingertips, twisting from the tailbone through the crown of the head. And letting that breath just snake its way through your spine. Bring the knees up to center. Just give yourself one more little hug. And then we'll move to our final resting pose, our corpse posture, Shavasana. So add any layers of clothing on you need to keep yourself warm. But allow your legs to extend out in front of you and the weight of the legs just to relax. The weight of the feet just to relax. Let your arms open up at your sides and the weight of your hands just release. The weight of your arms heavy to the floor. Feel the weight of the head just resting, eyes closed. You can let go of controlling your breath at this point and allow the body to take back over on the breathing. So start to wiggle out your fingers and your toes. Stretch your arms back behind you in space to a full morning stretch, rolling out your ankles and your wrists. And then just roll the weight of your body onto your side into a fetal position, curling up and relaxing. Take a deep, slow round of breath. We'll meet up in a cross-legged position, just like we started our class out with. Rooted into the front edge of the sit bones. Lengthen through the spine. Let the shoulder heads just release down away from the ears on the back, feeling that opening through the chest and that length through the back of your neck. Thank you so much for coming out and practicing tonight and creating this beautiful space. The light in me greets the light in you. Namaste.